Looks like I am live, or we are live. There's a bit of a delay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Team Joanna. There's a bit of a delay. We have already 25 people. Thank you so much, all of you who are coming in. I am 2 minutes late. My apologies for that. I will actually explain why I'm late. It's kind of interesting. Can you hear me? Okay, so Sarah, I hear and see you perfect. Sweet Lilith, Dominique, Julie, Hattie, Ikrit for you, Dominique, Julie again, Rinalda, Imogen, thank you. Somebody, Rinalda, you just donated money. Thank you so much. Eva, Sweet Lilith, Dominique, I said, De-Inspired, Stace, Arcanum, Giselda, and if I haven't mentioned any of your names yet, thank you so much for being part of this channel, literally and figuratively speaking. Can you just, guys, let me know that you can hear me okay, and the music is not too loud, and that I am fairly clear. So I'm just looking for, I can hear you. Thank you so much, Panther Spirit. Okay, looks like we're on. All right. So today is going to be, I have to look at the new camera. Today is going to be a channel for fire signs. I have a fire sign in, according to the non-traditional astrology, I am Aries, but I'm actually Taurus. But my moon sign, I believe, is Sagittarius. So I myself have some fire in me, and I can be very fiery. And so this will apply to me as well. Obviously, for those of you who are here for the very first time, thank you so much for joining us. If you like what you hear, and I hope you do, I would love for you to click the subscribe button and the little bell that gives you notifications whenever I put in new, what do I like here? Whenever I put in new content. And if you feel like there is something worthwhile here, then maybe share it with a friend or two if you feel that your friends will benefit from my message. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much. It is because of you. It is because of you that I get to do what I do, and I absolutely love what I do, to the point where when I say to somebody that this is what I do as a job, it almost doesn't fit, because job is not supposed to feel like that, but why not, right? So it is a passion of mine, and they're saying to me, describe to them what my passion is. My passion is in the understanding what life is about and what we are all about. And the more I understand this, the mind and consciousness, the more I am able to give you my interpretation of that understanding. And hopefully that understanding resonates with you when you try it on, like you would try on a new suit, and you end up liking it, and you actually end up feeling quite good. So in short, my passion is to help you understand yourself better, or deeply, because when you do, magical things happen. And we are all riddled with perceptions of who we think we are, often not able to really see who we really are underneath all our perceptions. So my job, if you will, is to introduce perhaps a new perception, a new way of looking at things, a new way of looking at yourself. And perhaps when you do, you allow that perception to shift and change your life, always for the better. That is my perception. So everything that I do is with that intention, is how can I give you more information, or information that will ultimately help you understand yourself deeper, because that's ultimately the key to our freedom. Why am I 2 minutes late? I purposely made myself be a few minutes late, even though it was very hard for me to do, because I have very high standards for myself. And if I am not if I am not fulfilling my standards, I feel like I'm shortchanging, whoever it is that I have, you, for example. But the reason why I did that is because today I felt very over analytical. So some of you may be feeling very over analytical these days. Also for time to come, and I have seen some posts that we are tired and all of that stuff. And yes, all of that is true. But in particular, for some reason today, I felt a lot of angst and a lot of chatter. And as a channeler, as a medium, my job is to not be in my head. It's to go put my head on the side, if you will, keep enough for translation, and be the channel, literally be the vehicle to energy. And when I get in my head, it creates doubt. And the reason why I'm saying this to you, because you and I are no different. I may be talking about channeling, you might be talking about something else. The point I'm trying to make is that when we get too much in our head, and when we get too much in our head, and when we get into overthinking, it can ruin a really good thing. And the basic reason why I'm doing it in the first place is because I enjoy what I do. And the moment I get in my head, the moment I get into my logic, it's no longer as enjoyable, because my ego is having it's whatever it does. So the message is simply this. Sometimes overthinking can actually ruin a really good experience. We cannot live life without thinking, obviously. Not enough thinking is not good or not optimal, and too much thinking is not optimal. So trying to find a space somewhere in between. And essentially the reason why I made myself late is because I thought I'm just going to show up without too much preparation, because I'm already too much in my head, and I'm going to trust my guidance, my team, the universe, the consciousness I connect with, because I've learned that they're not going to let me down. If something goes sideways, it's because this got in the way. So the underlying message is trust. Now, I've talked about this before. It's not news that trust and intention is fundamentally important to life. When we don't trust, well, life is not as optimal. So is there a message with this here? Yes. Try not to overthink. Now, this would typically be a message for the air signs, which I did a couple of days ago. And incidentally, I'm also an air sign. So I have earth, I have fire, and I have air. Come to think of it, I don't really have too much water in there. That's interesting. So you might find that over the next little while, in particularly the month of August, there may be sections of times where you are very much in your head, okay? If that happens, or I should say, when that happens, recognize it. Recognize that you are in your head, and recognize that it's happening. Oftentimes, just the recognition that you are in your head allows you to move out of your head. And I'm looking at the clock here, it's 111. So that is a big ass sign that we are on the right track. Normally I tune in and kind of get an idea of what we're going to talk about, but today literally I'm raw. So I'm learning how to just show up. And of course, every single time I talk about me, the purpose of talking about me is to basically say, you're no different than me. Watch me sit in front of you raw and trust, and perhaps you'll give yourself permission to do the same. Not necessarily with channeling, but with taking chances in life, trusting the universe, knowing that you will be supported, you will be guided, and the universe knows the way. And this, more often than not, does not know the way. So, housekeeping. Okay, housekeeping business. All right. they said, otherwise people don't know about you. So for those of you who don't know where to reach me, there is information down there how you can reach me for connecting with me personal one-on-one, or the address of my website is Joanna the Healer. Pretty straightforward, joannathehealer.com. I have an Instagram account, and I have been doing daily messages, and they are extraordinarily popular. So every day I put out a very short but very punchy channeled message. If you would like to see, please do so. It's again under Joanna the Healer. And is there anything else? I feel like I am forgetting. Oh yes, thank you. They said that last time. Don't forget to have fun. And the message also is, remember, you're not here to suffer. So if you are suffering, we need to figure out why. Okay, anything else? Okay, one more thing. See, that's how much I trust them. I trust my management team to tell me what I need to say in order for everything to run smoothly together. Because unless you know about me, you will not be able to hear what they have to say. If you are not a member of the private Facebook page, apparently I can't talk. The link is down below. We have over 5,000 members. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's a closed community where it is by what's the word, please? You have to be approved, by approval only, where you can join like-minded individual, and we share experiences, we support one another, we look at different points of view. So if you would like to be a part of that, there's a link down below. I will also be announcing something in the very near future, something that I feel is going to be very big. It is the next step of my journey and how I offer myself and my services to broader audience. So if you are a member of the private Facebook page, I will be announcing it there first, because there is what's the word I want to use, please? There's a privilege that comes with what I'm going to announce if you are part of the Facebook. So if you would like to join, you will benefit from it, I believe, in a big way. Is there anything else? The message, the message for all of us, fire sign, is clear your space, which is interesting because I believe that's what the weekly was, or actually the weekly 2 in a row was about clearing space, and it feels like it's no different. Is there anything else? No, I think we're covered. So the first thing I'm going to do is just keep with the information for general public, for the general element of fire. And then I will do at the very end individually each sign. So what is the energy that's being represented for the month of August? And by the way, for those of you who have birthday July and August, happy birthday to you. I know I have 2 Leos in my life who are very, very, very dear to my heart, and they're both males, so they come with a punch. All right, so the energy for the month of August is the energy of solar plexus. Okay, so this is your power center. This is your power center. There's a bit of a delay here, so I'm going to kind of be mindful of that. As you can see, the number 3, which is an additional message for me, is the number 3 is all about expansion. It is also about receiving. The way the card was presented to me is anything that is blocking us in this area or in our solar plexus, which is our power center, is something that needs to be addressed or would be a good idea to address. And that's where the message of clearing comes from. It is connected to clearing dust from the past that has settled in our solar plexus, so that we can basically transition into being much more empowered individual, or much more in our power. So that is the overall energy. In another way of saying it, this is a card of empowerment. It is feeling solid in your own existence, feeling worthy, feeling valued, feeling accepted, just feeling strong in your own 2 feet. That's a very, very powerful energy center. I'll read to you what it says. The frequency of the solar plexus chakra, the yellow flower of life, supports our sense of self, our personal power and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. Okay. What is also coming up is if you like stones, you can buy yourself a citrine. Citrine is a very good stone to have for the month of August. They're also saying to me that citrine is connected to money. I never thought about it that way, but I guess that makes sense. I trust my team. If you guys know that that's the case, you can also comment below. So if you have something with citrine, or you can get a little like stone. Do I have one? I don't think I have. This is carnelian. It's not a citrine, but if you can get something like this, okay, that kind of a stone, and have it, it's very good for absorbing negative energy. Okay? For absorbing negative energy. Okay? The word that comes with this center is opulence. Opulence. To me, opulence means plenty. It's not even a lot, it's plenty. It's plenty. There is no shortage. And if you think about it in terms of our solar plexus, when we feel opulent inside, that's going to show off in the world. It's going to be reflected in our world. So it sounds like the month of August is a month of tremendous personal growth. And I know some of you are going to say, oh my God, Joanna, I've been growing for the last 3 years. When is it going to be over? Well, the real answer is it's never going to be over, because it's a journey. We are moving from birth to death, and between those 2 points, we are in a constant growth, and we're in a constant state of evolution. However, what I do feel is that the strides that we will be making in August, and I actually want to say August for the next 6 months, in terms of owning our power or resisting our power less, is equivalent to the analogy of climbing Mount Everest. So think about it this way. To me, when I see a vision of climbing Mount Everest, it's like, wow, that clearly takes a lot of hard work. But when you get to the top of Mount Everest, you say to yourself, wow, it was worth it. So it sounds to me like many of us will be experiencing situations where we will gain a certain perspective through, the perspective will come from our experience. And the experience is going to help us transition from one perspective to another perspective. Obviously, this is going to happen differently for different people. And these things often happen as a result of a change. So there is change that's being implied here. But this is a good change. This is a powerful change. This is a change of moving from disempowerment to moving into more empowerment. Now, I don't know about you, but if someone was giving me a choice and said, hey, you have 2 choices, you have to feel, you can pick disempowerment and empowerment. Obviously, there is no choice for me. I go with empowerment, right? But hear this. If empowered to choose, then why so many of us are still in state of disempowerment? And the reason for that is, believe it or not, that sometimes it's easier to stay in a disempowered state than take the chance of doing something very different where we have no of security, but ultimately ending up in a better place. So the reason why some of us still feel disempowered, in order for us to feel disempowered, we constantly have to fuel that feeling, that state of awareness. And we are the ones that primarily do this. The universe supports that. So the message for fire signs over the next 6 months, but particularly starting with August, is to recognize where in your life do you feel disempowered, and how do you contribute to this disempowerment. I'll give you a personal example for this morning. Briefly, before getting on air, my doubts came in, and I'm very open about this. Part of my job, I believe, is to put myself out there in a very vulnerable state and literally tell you how I feel, and hopefully that gives you permission to do the same. Because at the end of the day, when I can show myself out there and tell you about it and say, hey, I'm feeling this, but I'm doing it anyway, and it's actually not as bad as I think, and as a matter of fact, it's way better than I thought, then you go, if she can do it, I can do it too. That's ultimately my goal, to be perfectly frank. So, what are some of the things that we are leaving behind? You're going to like this. Dark night of the soul. This is what's leaving. So I tuned in and I asked my team, according to you guys, what is dark night of the soul? And what came to me was questioning of one's identity, where we begin to question who we are. It's as if we lose the memory of who we are, but we're not quite sure yet who we are becoming. And that is a very sometimes frightening place to be. And the reason for that is when we feel that, or when we are in that place, we often feel like we don't know where we belong. And that can absolutely contribute to our sense of disempowerment. Okay? So, some of you have been going through the dark night of the soul for quite a few years. Some of you are going through it right now. I'm trying to think if I experienced a really bad dark night of the soul. I actually don't know if I had. I mean, I've questioned my identity over the last several years to the point where I thought I was crazy. But I think I've been going through the dark night of the soul probably for the last, I would say, 10 years. So it's been prolonged, but now that I look at it, it was all worth it. So some of you are going to be very happy to see this. Okay. What does it say on the bottom? It says, life brings new meaning. When we change our identity, our life begins to change. How we identify ourselves is what we bring into our lives. So if you've been struggling with self-identity, with not knowing who you are, we're trying to figure out who am I, which, by the way, absolutely, contributes to not feeling great in your power center. It looks like this is going to be soon a thing of the past. Okay? I also want to say that questioning your identity is actually a very valuable thing. And here's why. When you begin to question, you also must realize that at that point of questioning, there is an opportunity to create a different identity. In other words, rather than trying to ask yourself, who am I, perhaps the question that would be more appropriate would be, who would I choose to be? Who would I rather choose to be? I actually had an experience. It was almost an out-of-body experience a couple of years ago where I momentarily lost awareness of my identity. The only thing that I was aware of and could hang on to was my ceiling. I was looking at my ceiling and I could recognize my ceiling, and that is what kept me literally sane. And I remember saying to myself, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? It was a very frightening experience. And the moment I said, who am I, probably the third time, a voice came to me and said, you're asking the wrong question. The question you might want to ask yourself, who do I choose to be? And I thought, oh boy. And the moment I realized what was said to me is the moment where the confusion stopped. And at that moment, I realized that who I was up to me to decide. Now think about that for a moment. What a powerful, powerful, powerful statement. Who you are is up to you to decide. Now, if we think about it in logical ways, because let's face it, I have Libra in me, and I like to understand the mind. We live our lives and we do things and we believe things in a certain way. And a lot of the perceptions that we have about ourselves are not really our perceptions at all. It's the perceptions that we become used to because of somebody else's saying or how life experience, right? And then we begin to wear that identity. But in reality, you and I are not who we are. We are, let me say it differently. How do I say it in a way that's more, they're saying the question to ask is, who do I choose to be? So for example, if you are not happy with yourself right now, which is a whole different subject, you might want to ask yourself, who do I choose to be? Who would I rather choose to be? And define who you would rather to be, and see where you are right now relative to who you would rather be, and understand that between those 2 points, there is a space. That space is the journey that takes you from here to here. And that journey belongs to you, no one else. Nobody can walk that journey for you. Nobody can get rid of that journey for you. Nobody can change that journey for you. It's your journey. So you must decide on the steps that will take you to the person you choose to be, except it's much easier than that because you don't have to go anywhere. What is much easier is to accept the fact that the person you're trying to be, you are already that person. Now, the logical part of you will go, what? You are already that person. So for example, let's say I want to be a more confident person. It's not about me trying to be a more confident person. It's about me tapping into my confidence. But that's different, right? Because everybody has some confidence. It's tapping into that confidence and drawing it out of us, using that energy that helps us become much more confident because we're focusing on our confidence versus what we are not confident about. So the first thing that must happen is the acceptance of whatever you're trying to achieve within yourself, the acceptance that you are that person already. I'm asking if this message is sinking in, and yes, it is sinking in for many. For some of you, your brain is trying to pull it apart and figure it out. Here's an analogy. Actually, that's not a great analogy. What analogy could I give them? Whatever you believe you are. Whatever you believe you are. So if you believe that you are a disempowered person, you will be a disempowered person. If you believe that you are a person in power, then you will feel like a person who is in her or his own power. And we must accept that. Without accepting that, it gets very difficult. Okay? So the next card, which I feel is very connected, is called Soul Fragments. Okay? And on the bottom it says, restore will be, or balance will be restored. What you'll notice here is the head seems to be on fire. Okay? The head seems to be on fire. Fire to me indicates transformation. So what is taking place, or what will be taking place, is our thoughts, our beliefs, and our understanding will go through major shift or transformation. And it is the thoughts that need to be transformed in order for us to have a new experience. Okay? You notice this light here, this light, blue light? To me, this represents external assistance. For some of you, this transformation will happen as a result of some sort of energetic work. Either you will have some sort of an energy healing, or you will be working with someone who will help you energetically transform. The blue energy for me is very high octane healing energy. It's very powerful, very transformative. And for some of you, this has already started to take place in the month of May. So May, a couple of months ago. Okay. So if you have been going through a mental transformation, it will continue. Now, if you think about it, mental transformation has a lot to do with the dark night of the soul. Those two, for me, those two messages, cards, go hand in hand. Okay? Because the dark night of the soul is all about identity. Our head, our beliefs is what we rely on to give us identity. So to me, it is absolutely fantabulous energy. Okay? If you are noticing any resistance over the next little while, observe the resistance, just acknowledge that you are resisting, and if you dare to, perhaps look into what you are resisting. Because resistance, although you can feel it in your body, it is felt as a feeling, it is connected to this, right? So when I was having my chatter happening before I went live, I was feeling the resistance in my body, but it was because my head was trying to figure things out. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? And it's like, oh, Joanna, give it up already. All you have to do is just show up and trust that when you open yourself up, it'll just start flowing. Okay? So even right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm very aware that my mind is constantly trying to come in. It's relentless. Okay? So I wonder if some of you have been experiencing this relentlessness, is that the word? With constantly your thoughts coming in and trying to ruin almost like a good party, trying to crash your party. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm just going to see if any of you have been experiencing a lot of mental clutter. Some of you, Lisa, you're saying you always feel healing when I speak. And that's because, yes, perfect, thank you. That's because the energy that I work with, the consciousness that I work with, is very much connected to healing. I work with, oh boy, do we go there? They said you don't have to. I work with beings whose passion and expertise is in energy healing. So every time I speak, the way it was explained to me is that my words somehow carry this frequency. I don't know how it's done. I just know that's what it is, because that's what they tell me. And I trust them more than I trust myself. So what does that tell you? Okay. So what collective do I work with? Now this is really interesting because the collective calls itself Paul. And the only reason why it had to give itself a name, so that I, as a human, could identify with something that I could understand, which is typically a form or identity, identity. But the collective is Council of Light, and my understanding from what I have been shown is it is a collective of various other dimensional beings of higher dimensions that whose purpose is to collectively support planet Earth. And there's millions of people who connect with this frequency, with this collective. I happen to be one of them. It's fairly new to me, although I suspect I've been connecting with it for probably as far as I was aware of this gift, which is about 20 years ago. But I just haven't experienced it in as closely as I am experiencing now. So I hope that's making sense. All right. Now, where are we moving into? Light codes. So I'll tell you what this means to me. What does it say on the bottom? It says travel awaits you. Okay. So what this means to me for the month of August is that for many of you, you will experience, more likely than not, you will experience an opening or expansion of your third eye. Okay. And this coupled with this, to me, is a winner. Why? Because this center still connects to your physical body. This obviously connects to a spiritual body. So when you work in tandem, when you work in a relation, and when you look in a collaboration with the physical and spiritual, we have a winner. Okay. So the simple message is, get ready to open up your perception. This is your third eye. Okay. For some of you, you will experience seeing things deeper. And the way that the only way I can explain it is like seeing things in your mind like hologram. There is depth to it. It's like seeing it in 3D. You know those old 3D postcards where you turn different angles and you see different things? It's kind of sort of what it's like. That's the best way that I can describe it. So your perception is going to widen, and also your perspective is going to widen. But I want to make something very clear. It's not going to happen to you. You're going to allow it. I don't know how you're going to allow it, but you're going to allow it. So it's not going to be forced on you. You're going to allow it, which means in order for you to allow it, you have to be open. So that tells me that we are becoming much more open. Again, when we look at this, which is our power center, and when we look at this, which is transformation of our thoughts, our beliefs, how we think, it makes perfect sense to me that we would become much more open. Okay? Some of you will definitely get some headaches. Like this, I hear internal pressure. It's like there's internal pressure from in your head up, going up. For some of it's going to be down, but I get internal pressure. Obviously, if it bothers you a lot and if it seems to be persistent, you got to go have it checked out. I'm not a doctor. But most of that, for those of you who will experience it, it is energetic pressure. Okay? Because essentially what happens is when higher frequency comes in and it's of higher vibration, it has to situate itself in our current vibration. And the new vibration is very expanding. It actually acts almost like a, yeah, it expands our light body, and it has effect on our physical body. So whenever we go through any kind of shift, particularly the type of shift that we are going through right now, the light that we are absorbing, which is way higher frequency that we are used to, will often produce physical symptoms, and some of them symptoms are not very pleasant. Let's face it, who wants to feel uncomfortable? Not too many people. Although some people do go to movies, for example, to feel uncomfortable by watching, let's say, a horror movie, right? So I just thought I'd throw that in. So this is what we get. This is what we get to look forward to, and to me, that is an awesome thing. So we are not only expanding our solar plexus, we're also expanding our minds. They're reminding me that this also talks about travel. For some of you, this is traveling to different places, except I don't feel so much places in the physical. I feel these are places in your awareness. Dare I say, to other dimensions? I did say it. My mind is trying now to come in, and it's trying to understand how that's going to happen. But because these other dimensions are not 3D, my mind I will not be able to figure out how that's going to happen. It's just my human perception is not going to be able to do that. But I can see my mind is trying to figure out, how is it going to happen? That's what the mind does, right? So for some of you analyticals out there, you might be saying, what does she mean, travel to different places? What does that mean? You won't know until you know, basically. You won't know until you know. Now, where is it that we're going? What is the place we are arriving at? I think you're really going to like this. I know I do. This card comes up many times. It's quite persistent. This is what we have to look forward to. Wholeness. It's our heart chakra. And wholeness is full. It's filled. It's content. It's wholeness. We all have slightly different idea what wholeness is. But to me, if somebody says, hey, would you like to feel whole? It's like, yes, please, and give me extra. Okay. When we feel empowered, we feel whole. When we feel whole, we feel empowered. So these two things go together. Again, this is the physical, and this is the doorway to spiritual. Okay? The first three chakras are physical, and the upper chakras are more the spiritual. And again, it's the idea here, or the ideal, is to work with both, because we are both. We're both bodies, physical, and we're both spirit, which is spiritual. Okay? So how do we come to a place of wholeness? Depending what wholeness means to you. But for me, if I tune into the idea of wholeness, again, the moment I tune into the idea of wholeness, I get the feeling of being free, to be myself, to be okay, to feel safe being myself, whatever that means. And of course, being, sorry, that's my cat. Of course, being myself, meaning coming from the highest possible frequency. Okay, if it's not about me being an asshole and that's being myself. No, that's not me being myself. That's me being my ego. So this is what we have to look forward to. And I don't know about you, but that's, to me, wholeness is beautiful. They're asking me to look at the numbers here. 24. Okay. So again, another message. 2 and 4. 2 is choices, decisions, is how we see things. But 4 is all about structures and new structures that are stronger, foundations that are firm and solid, which brings us to the number 6, which is harmony. Harmony is the same as balance. The flow in, flow out, and flow in. It's the yin and the yang. It's the giving and the receiving. So when we feel whole, we feel empowered. When we feel empowered, we feel open to giving and receiving, and we feel much more in balance. Life becomes much more in balance. Okay? If you are not feeling whole, if you feel something is missing in your life, and that something is not allowing you to feel whole, and it would be good for you to ask yourself, what does wholeness mean to me? For me, one of the things that also wholeness means, it's to belong. It's to belong, right? But the belonging comes from inside, mostly. And then we want to belong to organizations, places, family, obviously. But the belonging has to happen inside. And in order for us to feel like we belong inside, we must come from a space of self-acceptance. So wholeness cannot happen without self-acceptance. I'm asking if that's correct. You cannot achieve the feeling of wholeness, the state of wholeness, without acceptance of self. And I've talked about self-acceptance many times. And I've also said many times that we can learn to accept things we don't like, because what we like and what we don't like can change. But unless we accept a part of something, we can't shift it. We can't transform it, because we're always going to be fighting it. So if you have challenges with self-acceptance, this is going to be one of those things that you have the opportunity to transform. So the question then becomes, what is it about you that you reject? What is it about you that you cannot accept? And you can absolutely learn to like things you don't like. You can accept things you don't like. Let's use that analogy. And I'll tell you, I've been learning to accept myself. That's part of my learning in this life. It's to essentially learn to love myself. That's really what I'm here for. I'm here to help you remember who you are. And we are all part of consciousness. We are all part of God, whatever God means to you. And as long as we keep remembering that, life becomes a little bit easier, okay? So if you have any struggles with self-acceptance, the next 6 months, particularly starting in August, whenever you hear it, it would be a very good time for you for some self-reflection. What is it about you that you cannot accept? And why? Obviously, that's beyond the scope of this transmission, but if you want help, then you know where to find me, okay? How are we doing so far? So far, so good? All right, so I'm being asked to start with the individual signs. So the first sign we're going to do is the sign of Aries. Like I said, according to the non-traditional astrology, Vedic astrology, I'm an Aries. We'll see. I do have a lot of fire, that is for sure. I can be very, very fiery. So what messages do we have for the sign of Aries? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Aries. This is the devil in reverse. For those of you who read cards, you can give your meaning however you feel. The devil is about restrictions, and I will interpret I'm not a tarot reader, but I would intuitively interpret what this message says, aside from moving past our limitations. The message simply is freeing ourselves from our limitations. Literally, that's what it is. But if you really think about it, this card pretty much speaks the same thing, okay? And this card speaks the same thing. So this being transformed is us transforming our limitations, okay? So for those of you who are a sign of Aries, you will have an opportunity to reclaim your freedom. But it isn't freedom necessarily in the physical. Yes, it could be. You might get, you might start your own business, and that will make you free. You might leave a situation that may make you feel free. Yes, yes, yes. All of those things are true. But more than that, this is attaining a sense of inner freedom, where you feel no longer tied to or attached to something that limits you. For example, the idea that you are a disempowered person. Okay? If you believe you are a disempowered person, that is your limitation. So from this day forward, do not refer to yourself as a disempowered person. Okay? So one more card for Aries. I really like this. It's also the number 15. That's another 6. So there's clearly some changes happening. Okay, this was very fast. So this is King of Wands. Okay, that's your guys's or our fire sign. What I hear is that some of you may have some disagreements with a person of authority. That's one message. For others of you, you are not accepting yourself as your own authority. And this could be perhaps in your career. It could be in a relationship. It just could be in your life, because you are your own creator. And this is a very creative energy. You're not accepting yourself as an authority. You are tending to give your authority to somebody else, okay? For some of you, this is being short-tempered. So you might experience some moment where you're feeling extra short-tempered, okay? Is there anything specific about that? You just maybe a situation where you're feeling short-tempered. What I want to say to those very few of you, make sure you don't blow the fuse. Make sure you don't blow the lid. In other words, use restraint. Okay? If you are dealing with a person of authority, particularly if it's, for example, somebody like your boss who is responsible for your paycheck, you might have a lot to say. It doesn't have to be a boss. It could be somebody of authority. You might have a lot to say, and you might actually be correct. But the way you say it, the way you deliver your message can enhance the relationship, or it can make it worse. And I feel that you are in a position of strength with that situation, whatever that situation is to you. So that seems to be very specific. That seems to be very specific. I feel for most of you, what this message means is somebody's going to piss you off, quite frankly. Okay. Maybe what's going to happen is you're going to have enough of feeling restrained, and you're going to say, F that, I'm not doing this any longer. Okay. Make sure that when you say F that, before you say that, you take into the account the consequences. Okay? Because sometimes being hot-headed is good, but sometimes it's not so good. We have to find other ways. So that's for you, Aries. I'm hoping that's When aren't we pissed off? Exactly. That's funny. Imagine, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you so much. And I know there was somebody else earlier who donated. Thank you so much. I want to make sure that I can't even see it. It's so long ago. Halo, thanks so much. Okay, the next sign is the sign of Leo. How are we doing, guys? How are we doing? How are the messages? Are you resonating with anything? You guys resonating? I gotta be honest, this energy today feels different. Like it felt very different yesterday or the last time I did the lives. And I'm trying not to make a big meaning out of it, but it just feels different. So I almost want to say it feels a little bit odd. Like I'm not quite sure of it. It makes me feel slightly unsure. So you might actually be picking up this energy, or it's just we're in this energy right now. And when we feel this energy and we don't feel great within ourselves, it can make things a little bit tricky. So make sure that if this is how you feel, you take plenty of time for rest. Okay. All right, Leos. Like I said, I have 2 Leos in my life who mean pretty much everything. What message do we have for Leos? So the card number 1 is, ooh, interesting, strength. Okay. What I feel here is that you may perceive yourself as not strong enough to deal with something. However, that is not true. Okay. So this could be a situation you are faced with. It doesn't have to be anything bad. It just could be something you've been dealing with for a long time, and now you're saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I don't have enough strength. Yes, you do have enough strength. And as a matter of fact, you have enough strength to see it through. I feel this is a message for those of you who have been dealing with something and you're very tired and you're like on your last 2 legs. It's like, where is this going to end? And I just hear soon, whatever the situation is, it seems to be very particular. All I want to say here is, however that applies to you, just keep on going. And I hear by the end of the summer. So if you are dealing in a situation, or if you are in a situation where you're like, oh God, I can't do this anymore, I feel by the end of summer, there will be some sort of a resolution to whatever that is for you. All right? You know what it could also be? Just the way you've been feeling about yourself, and it's like you're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be like this anymore. Perhaps that's what that is. Okay. I don't feel there's anything bad. No, but I want to get more. Please show me more information for Leos. More information for Leos. There's one card sticking out here. What do we have? Oh, Knight of Coins. Okay. So I feel those 2 things are going together. Okay. For some of you, I feel like you're financially exhausted. Okay. Some situation, financially or physically, is exhausting you. It's and I feel that's why you're feeling like you don't have strength to go on anymore. I feel like you've been putting effort to something that either A, is not giving you what you want, or it somehow lost its value to you. And for some of you, this could actually be pertaining to some sort of a situation with a job that you have or work. Maybe you are in a company or in a job situation, and you're feeling like you're on your last 2 legs, and it's like, I can't take this anymore. By the end of the summer, something is going to change. Again, it's not going to change because the change will happen to you. It's going to change because you will allow it. And the reason why this is shown both in reverse, because, where's the card? Here. This is what we're going through, okay? So in order for these 2 be upright, when you feel strong again and you feel solid in your commitments, the transformation has to take place. Okay, so that makes perfect sense to me the way it's being shown. Okay, so that is for the sign of Leo. Now we're moving to the sign of Sagittarius. So my moon is in Sagittarius. I don't quite know what that means as far as the moon, but if you do know, if you're an astrologer, maybe let me know what does the position of the moon sign mean. Okay, for Sagittarius, I just heard the word plenty, plenty. If there's any word that you want to implant in your head, is the word plenty, plenty. There is plenty of everything in the world, and I want you to focus on the word plenty. Look at this. Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Wow, wow, wow. What's going on? Either a brand new relationship, a brand new opportunity, a contract that is mutually very beneficial. There is a new beginning. And traditionally, Two of Cups represents love, union. So yes, it absolutely can mean that over the next little while, you will end up meeting Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, okay? But to take it bigger, this message represents a brand new beginning that is emotionally very satisfying. So you could be tying a knot, although I don't think that's typically the marriage card. You could be moving in together with somebody. You could be meeting somebody who will emotionally recharge you. You could be putting yourself in a situation that is new, brand new, maybe like a job opportunity, and that will bring you tremendous satisfaction. So to me, this message for me personally is a message of fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. And the emotional fulfillment is something, this particular fulfillment is something you have been after for a long, long time. What they're also saying to me is that this card represents inner contentment, inner fulfillment. So you feel content inside, and as a result of that, you end up meeting someone or creating experiences that reflect how you feel on the outside, like a positive union, or a union that will positively benefit you. Yes, please, job opportunity, right? Okay, so let's see if we can get more information on this card. Okay. I just saw the card Nine of Swords. And to me, the Nine of Swords symbolizes being very critical of something. If you're someone who is naturally very critical of yourself, what I want to suggest to you is this. Be mindful of your self-criticism and make a point of doing less. Okay. A few years ago, it was shown to me that I need to let go of self-criticism, because I still am to some extent, not nearly as much, but I was awful. I mean, there was time in my life where I used to physically hit myself. I hated myself so much. So I've come a long, 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 long way. But it makes sense that I needed to experience that, because part of my job in this world, if you will, is to help people learn how to love themselves. And if I don't know how to do that, if I haven't learned and have an experience coming from the other side, I'm not of use to you, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay? So if you're self-critical, by the way, if you're self-critical, you also tend to be critical of other people. You will feel that other people are critical of you, and that's all tied to self-acceptance. So there's a huge underlying message of self-acceptance for Sagittarians. And I can absolutely accept that message for sure. Is there anything else? And I just heard 9 of Cups. I don't even have to do the cards. So thank you. When you begin to judge yourself less, when you begin to be less self-critical, you will begin to tap into the frequency of 9 of Cups. And that to me is emotional opulence. I love the word opulence. I just love the word opulence. And when we begin to feel internal opulence, the universe has no other option but to match us with external opulence. You are what you believe, remember. I don't think the card wants to come out. I think they're just giving me the messages, although there is one, the messages in my mind, and that's how I'm supposed to talk. All right. So, ooh, wow, 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 wow. Look at this. If you're Sagittarius or have a sign in Sagittarius or a placement in Sagittarius, you are coming to a big ass end of cycle. A big ass end of cycle. How exciting is that? Where criticism or self-criticism perhaps, or self-loathing is the thing of the past. And I'll tell you, when you let go of those things, you will absolutely, without a doubt, feel in your own power, more in your own power. Okay? If you get anything out of this session today, is that collectively, this is what the energy is supporting us with. To be more in acceptance of our own power. Okay? Which means we are stepping boldly into our own power, leaving behind powerlessness. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ending. So, I liked it a lot. How about you? Okay, so I'll just take a couple of minutes just to acknowledge everyone who's here. Thank you so much for all of you who are listening, who are watching. We have 184 viewers. Thank you so much. I know there was a little bit of a delay. I hope it is okay. The next session is Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, o'clock, 12 p.m. noon Eastern Time. And I don't remember, I think we're doing water signs, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you so much, all of you, for being part of Team Joanna. And thank you for all of you who have joined me here, and for all of you who have donated. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care and much love to you. Bye-bye.